Imagine this. You're standing in a room where no one speaks. No phones buzz, no screens glow, no music hums in the background. It's just you and the silence. At first, it feels hollow, almost oppressive. Your thoughts race to fill the void, latching onto anything, regrets, tomorrow's plans, the itch on your neck. The stillness doesn't comfort you, it confronts you. Why does silence feel so loud? We spend our lives running from it. Constant noise, endless scrolling, a ceaseless parade of conversations, podcasts, background TV, anything but the absence of sound. It's as though silence threatens to expose something we aren't ready to see. But what if that's the point? What if silence isn't a void, but a mirror? What if in that mirror lies a truth more profound than any book, any lecture, or any sermon could ever convey? It's a paradox that's haunted mystics and philosophers for centuries. The more noise you eliminate, the more truth you hear. In the quiet, something ancient wakes up, something raw and real. So, here's the question that will follow you through this journey. Asterisk, what exactly are you so afraid you'll hear when the world finally goes quiet? Asterisk, and more importantly, why does silence, of all things, feel like a confrontation with something deeper than noise could ever mask? What if, in the silence, you didn't disappear but finally became real? Let's go deeper. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the absence of distraction. And distraction, for many, is survival. From childhood, you're conditioned to fill space. Speak when spoken to. Don't just sit there, do something. Achievement, productivity, multitasking, all of it reinforces the belief that stillness equals laziness, that quiet means you're not trying hard enough. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." But modern culture is terrified of looking inward. Why? Because it's there beneath the ego, the persona, the social masks that the unfiltered self lives. And sometimes that self isn't pretty. Trauma, shame, and processed grief, existential dread, all of it lies dormant beneath the surface, only to rise up when the noise dies down. So we drown it with music, with social media, with endless talking, with workaholism disguised as ambition. Silence becomes the enemy, not because it's empty, but because it's honest. Schopenhauer believed that suffering was the default state of human consciousness, that to live is to feel the weight of the will to want endlessly, to crave, to suffer. And yet, it is precisely in silence that the will momentarily surrenders. In Eastern traditions, silence isn't feared, it's revered. The Tao Te Ching tells us silence is a source of great strength. In Vipassana meditation, silence becomes a surgical tool, cutting through the delusions of the mind to reach a deeper reality. So the issue isn't that silence is painful. The issue is that we've built our entire psychological defense system around avoiding that pain, around constructing identities based on noise, around seeking validation in chaos. But when that scaffolding collapses, when the noise stops, you're left with something uncomfortable but pure, yourself, raw and distracted and explained. The real question is, can you face that person? Or have you forgotten who you are beneath the performance? This isn't just a psychological dilemma, it's an existential one, and it's leading us straight into consequences more insidious than we dare imagine. There's a strange irony to modern life. The more connected we are, the more fragmented we feel. The inability to be still doesn't just impact your inner life, it shapes your external world in invisible but profound ways. Constant distraction leads to shallow tension, fractured relationships, impulsive decisions. The inability to sit with yourself becomes the inability to truly connect with others. Why? Because you've never really listened. Not to yourself, not to anyone. When your mind is a battlefield of unchecked thoughts, every interaction becomes projection. Every silence in a conversation feels awkward. Every pause feels like a threat. So, you talk more, perform more. You fill the silence with words but not meaning. Neurologically, this is no accident. Cognitive overload fueled by endless information streams drains the brain to fear and activity. Dopamine systems become hijacked. Silence feels like withdrawal. The absence of stimulation triggers the same anxiety as a drug addict in detox. And culturally, we celebrate this addiction. We equate busyness with worth. We wear exhaustion like a badge. Silence is dismissed as laziness, solitude mistaken for loneliness. But here's the quiet horror. When you never allow for silence, you lose the ability to hear your inner compass, your intuition, your truth. Instead, your reality is dictated by the loudest voice in the room, the algorithm, the trending opinion. You think you're living, but you're reacting. You think you're free, but you're conditioned. And without realizing it, you become what the noise wants you to become. This is how truth dies, not in fire, but in static. And that's why silence is so radical, so dangerous, because it threatens the machine. But in that threat lies your only hope, because only when you unplug, when you risk the discomfort of the void, do you remember you are not the noise. And that realization changes everything. If silence is the enemy of the conditioned self, then it is also the sanctuary of the authentic one. The rebellion begins not with noise, but with stillness. The moment you choose to turn off the device, to sit in the discomfort, to feel the ache without medicating it, you begin the revolution. You're not running anymore. You're confronting. And in that confrontation, you begin to reclaim the fragments of your soul scattered across 1,000 distractions. This is what mystics and monks have known for centuries. Silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of self. It is in silence that your intuition sharpens, that truth bubbles up, that you begin to separate your voice from the voices imposed upon you. Historically, every spiritual awakening, every profound personal transformation has begun in retreat, in solitude, in silence. Buddha under the Bodhi tree, Christ in the desert, Nietzsche walking alone through the Alps. It is always in the silence that the old self dies and the true one is born. And no, it's not glamorous. It's not instant. It doesn't give you a badge or followers or dopamine, but it gives you back **u**.com. You start small, 10 minutes without music, a walk with no phone, a dinner without scrolling, and slowly, the addiction begins to break. You realize that you can hear more in 5 minutes of stillness than in hours of conversation. You begin to feel your own thoughts rather than flee them. You start to distinguish the sacred from the superficial, and perhaps most importantly, you start to choose, not based on noise, not based on fear, but based on clarity. This is the power of silence, not to mute you, but to amplify what's real. And once you taste that, once you discover that still, quiet center within, you will never fully belong to the noise again, because you've glimpsed your source. And now, you're ready to return home. You sit in stillness, at first uneasy, then alert, and eventually, wide open. And something begins to happen. The mind stops clawing, the noise softens. The roles you've played for so long begin to dissolve, not violently, but like mist at dawn. And what remains? Something ancient, something wordless, something terrifying in its simplicity. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fears, your name, your story. You are what is watching. And in that realization, something breaks and something awakens. You see, the final truth is not found through effort. It is not a prize you earn through striving. It is a letting go, a melting away of all the ideas of who you are and what life is supposed to be. The answer was never hidden. You were simply too loud to hear it. Silence, you realize, was never empty. It was full, pregnant with presence, heavy with truth. And in that sacred stillness, you finally see, you are not lost. You are not broken. You are not behind. You were always here. You were simply distracted. All along, life had been whispering through the rustling of leaves, the quiet between heartbeats, the pause before the breath returns. You just needed to listen. There's a moment in the deep silence where the illusion of separation vanishes. No longer is there **u**, and the world just one field of being. No past, no future, just this shimmering, sacred now. And for the first time, peace is not something you pursue, it's what you *r*. You don't find the answer in silence. You realize you were the answer all along. This is the truth sages have spoken in every language, every tradition. Be still and know. Know what? That the kingdom of heaven is within you. That the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. That nirvana is samsara when seen through the eye of awakened stillness. But these are not just poetic riddles or religious metaphors. They are instructions, not to be worshipped, but to be lived. Because you are not just a mind, not just a body. You are the space in which mind and body appear, the silence behind the symphony, the awareness before the word. And when you root yourself there deep, in the still center of your being, nothing can shake you. Not fear, not doubt, not even death. Because death, too, is just a noise, and silence, true silence, is eternal. So, what now? You return to life, but you are no longer possessed by it. You move, but your stillness moves with you. You speak, but from a deeper place. You engage, but no longer as a prisoner of identity or ego. You live not to be seen, but to see. Not to conquer, but to connect. Not to impress, but to express what silence has shown you. And now, the world feels different. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You no longer fear being alone. You treasure it, because in solitude, you remember, you reconnect, you recharge. You are no longer desperate for attention because you've discovered the attention of the eternal within you. You are no longer addicted to answers because you've found peace in the unknowing. And you are no longer afraid of the silence because the silence is home. This is not the end of your journey, it is the beginning of a new one, a deeper one not driven by noise or validation, but by presence, stillness, awareness. So the next time the world overwhelms you, don't run outward, run inward. Find the silence again. It is always there waiting, and in that silence, you will remember. You were never meant to chase the answer. You were meant to become it.